freelancers, people like us, digital nomads, to become the most productive version of themselves. And I was a little bit stressed about the event, as what I told you yesterday around the bonfire. And then he was like, Michelle, I want to help you. I want to sit down with you and up to the event. So this is like, a month ago, I think. We jumped every week on a call. And pretty straightforward. He set goals with me. He helped me to get towards my goals, and really every week evaluate, like, where do you stand, what do you need, what went well, what went wrong. And it was super simple, but it was super effective. And you guys are now all here, we're doing this, so really well done. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah. Can I get a big applause for that?
Actually, I met Luca in a hopeless place. No, I actually met him at a Selena once upon a time, actually a month ago. And he was the top bunk, and I was the bottom bunk. So that's how my Nomad escape journey started. And then I crashed his Tinder date later that night, which turned out to be really fun. So we had a good time. But yeah, my talk is about how to accelerate to your goals even when you don't want to. All right, so my story begins for this presentation in March of 2020, right? Like early that month, I was about to leave my job in the Navy. I was an officer, and I was ready to go explore the world and work on my blog. I had been writing for the Process Hacker for about a year, and I really wanted to go turn it into a full-fledged business. But then, you know what happens 2 weeks later, at least in the US, my life turned upside down, broke up with my girlfriend, and I was hopeless. And I stopped working out. I stopped going to the gym, because my gym was, in public, in a normal place. And this dream of traveling the world was all of a sudden just gone, because, okay, who knows, borders are gonna reopen and whatnot. So, you know what I said to myself? I'm gonna make something out of this moment, and I'm gonna get into the best shape of my life. But I really didn't know what that meant. So I decided to get after it. I was like, I'm gonna go wake up early, I'm gonna do all the things, wake up, run. I looked at some motivational YouTube videos, and then I decided to do some body weight exercise. So did day 1, day 2, crushing it. Day 3 comes along, I was like, I did okay. And then day 4, and I just hit a wall. I just was thought about, my relationship, thought about not being able to travel, and I lost all this willpower that I had. And I was like, oh.
Can you put the mic slightly more down? I guess sound will be better.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so I lost this willpower, and I was like, what happened? I blog about habits, I blog about goals, why can't I seem to work out? And part of this talk is, rediscovering the goal setting process of how to set goals, because goals are fundamental to everything we do. And so for me, I was in the Navy at the time, and a year earlier I started the blog, and I want to walk you through the process of how to set a really solid goal and then take it to the next level and go achieve it. All right, so you want to take this exercise. I want you to choose your most important goal right now and think about it. Yeah, think about something you really want to do. And I'm picking one because for the longest time in the English language, priority was one word. It wasn't priorities. It never became plural until the 1900s. And this comes out of a book, Essentialism. So I really, as much as you want to do more goals, we're just going to focus on one. And the framework we're going to use is the rapid planning method. So we're going to maximize your results by really aligning your goals to your vision, your actions to what you're trying to accomplish. And this framework comes out of Tony Robbins, and basically it's 3 parts: RPM, results focused. So what do you want? Purpose driven. Why does it matter to you? And then massive action plan. How will you achieve it? I guess the font all got messed up, but it's all good, whatever. So who knows the story about the man on the moon? No? All right, so it kind of didn't happen. Also, you should celebrate your goals. Once you actually land on the moon, have a beer on the moon and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But basically, the president of the United States said, hey, in 1961, we're gonna accomplish this big goal to land a person on the moon, right? And what was crazy about that goal was there was no technology. The Russians were already ahead of the US in terms of trying to reach the moon. And I thought of this story because I just recently, as a nomad, I visited the Houston Space Center, and this rocket that took people to the moon. So they were able to, in less than 10 years, build the most powerful rocket in the world And it's still today in Houston, like one of the rockets, and out of like within a decade. And it's crazy because goals, like, we overestimate how much we can do in a decade, but we really underestimate how much we could do in a decade, but we overestimate what we could do in a month or a week. And this right here, what he said, is an essence of a great goal, right? So a great goal is cliche, but it is smart, right? So when you're writing that goal, you want to think about what is the consequence, effect, or outcome that you're trying to achieve. So is it specific, like simple and concise, measurable? Can you actually tell what progress is? Because metrics are important. Actionable, like what is the action that you're trying to take? Relevant, you have the skills and expertise to really move that goal forward, and then time bound, when you're going to achieve it. So when you write that really important goal down, I want you to think of from X to Y by when. So you're going to say, hey, I'm going to do this thing from where I'm at right now. So if it was losing weight, so now let's look back to that story about, okay, I'm trying to get into shape. Where am I at right now? And so many people make this mistake because we say, hey, I just want to get into the best shape of my life. But really, you want to start with, okay, I'm 190 right now, and that's in pounds, so sorry for all you Europeans, and going to a desirable Y, which is, okay, I'm going to try to hit 170 within a time frame. So now you're bounding it within a time frame. Okay, I'm going to lose 20 pounds essentially in 3 months. So that's the first part. So how many of you, so the next part is the purpose part. How many of you heard about the Merchant of Death? Anybody? Like, oh, okay. So the Merchant of Death, so basically there's this man that's now famous for inventing dynamite. And he was known for killing so many people, and he had one of the biggest arms companies in Europe. And actually, one day, he woke up to a newspaper, and the newspaper said, hey, you just died. Essentially, he's reading his obituary. And it's talking about how he's the Merchant of Death, and this is a French newspaper. And he basically made his fortune off of killing people, right? But really what happened was the newspaper mistaken this man for his brother. His brother actually died, and the newspaper actually thought that he died. And this guy is Alfred Nobel. And today we know him as the guy who led this legacy of the Nobel Prize, right? Think about people like Nelson Mandela or the Dalai Lama. But we never think about dynamite and death. And that was because when he saw this obituary, he was like, my actions of what I've done don't align with what I want to be remembered for. And he actually took all the money he made from creating dynamite in his arms companies and put it into these 5 prizes that we award every year to the best people in like medicine or chemistry, physics, and literature and peace. So the next part is, okay, you need to tie that goal that you want to achieve to a purpose. So what is the compelling reason for wanting to achieve that goal? And this is now turning that SMART goal into the smartest goal. And this is it exciting? Are you going to get out of bed for it? Summoning, are you taking it and aligning it to your mission and values, and then testing? Does it get you to do your best work, right? And then the last part is the massive action plan. So a goal without a plan is just a dream. And then this is what Brian Tracy said. So this is the most important part. We've just idealized our goal, right? I want to lose 20 pounds. Maybe I want to do it because I want to do it for health. For me, it was like, hey, if I do this one goal, I will be able to get everything else in my life in the pandemic back on track. But now you don't have any execution. Without execution, the goal's not going to go anywhere. So this is the last part, and this is a framework called the 4 disciplines of execution. And now we're actually going to execute on what we set out to do. And this is the how. And so the first part is we're going to remind ourselves, we're going to focus on the wildly important goal, which is the discipline of focus, which is keeping that goal top of mind. And this is like what we're doing right now. We're meditating, we're affirmations, visualization. But instead, when you do those things, you're thinking about your goal, you're reciting your goals, you're visualizing, you're seeing that goal come to life. Journal writing, right? Reminding yourself, like, hey, when you write your daily journal, hey, these are my goals that I'm trying to achieve. And then learning, exploring about the goal. So for me, I would meditate and I would journal about, hey, wanting to lose weight, wanting to make the most out of this really terrible time. And then learning, like I read a couple books on performance and actually exercise science, and it was super fascinating. The next part is acting on the lead measures. So lead measures, think activity. So we have an outcome, right, of like me losing weight, but I can't just magically jump on a scale and lose weight, right? So you got to do actions to get to you to lose that weight. And so this is the discipline of leverage where you're using the 80-20 rule. Basically, 80-20 rule says, hey, the 20% of actions that you take do most of what you're trying to do. And so how do you know if something's a good measure of activity? Is it measurable? Like, hey, how many workouts am I doing? What are my lifts? Like, and then actually recording the outcome. And then is it predictable? Am I doing something that is going to change or predict success and then influenceable? Like, can I do something to actually affect the outcome of what I'm trying to do? And you're making a strategic bet on that goal in the future that you're trying to accomplish. Next, keeping a compelling scoreboard. So really seeing the results come alive. And this is the discipline of engagement, which is tracking progress so that you get more motivation to win. And so for me, I actually kept an app with my personal trainer where I would record my lifts, I would record my runs, and then I would measure my weight, and it would also track activity, heart rate, all this stuff. And I could see it. It's very simple to see. It was easy to understand. It shows like the activity, the leading measures, and the lag, like the weight, the actual weight at the end of the day. And I can tell right away if I'm winning. So these 4 simple principles, like, is it simple? Can I see it easily? Does it show like the different metrics I'm trying to measure? And then can I tell if I'm winning? Like, am I actually achieving that goal? And then last, and this is the most important piece, which is creating a cadence of accountability. So having accountability means now you're not managing what you're trying to accomplish in a vacuum. You're having other people in your life hold you accountable to what you're trying to do. And this can be reviewing your progress and planning with other people. Having an environment of friends, having family that holds you accountable. And this could be someone like an accountability team is like a peer of yours who maybe you go to the gym together and you both work on these goals together. For me though, it was one of my best friends, which is on the right, which is Dave, who's a personal trainer, and then my other friend Tim. And Tim was actually a nutritionist, and he actually helped me set workouts. Like, he coached me on my diet plan, he looked at MyFitnessPal, he coached me on the workouts I was doing, and he actually held me accountable to reaching that 20-pound loss in those 3 months. And then lastly, the other things that you gotta keep in mind is your network, and which can be like just people like us in our room, masterminds, so like places where you actually brainstorm about your goals with other people and conferences, like kind of like this too. So that is the last piece, which is fundamental to really stepping up and achieving goals. You're not doing it in a vacuum. You actually have humans that hold you accountable, because we do things when other people like help us stay accountable, right? Like, we want to do things on a team. I think the last we were talking about, hey, if you have someone on your team, you're more likely to succeed in a venture. So that's it. That's my talk. So.
Thank you so much, Dan. If anyone has a question, because I think yesterday and also today in the business bingo, people were asking about like, how can I be productive? How can I achieve my goals better? Are there any questions at this moment? This is the moment. Justin is laying in a very productive position here in the back.
Next slide. Can you go to the next slide?
Previous slide.
Oh yeah.
Okay. No worries.
I'm sorry.
No worries. Sorry. Okay.
Very productive.
I have those issues too, because like
No, but you had some a list of stuff you can for accountability for your goals, which I think is super good. But I didn't saw time on it. So my question was: is time a good metric for accountability? Because personally, I use time a lot.
Like how much like time as a resource, you mean? Like, yeah, so I view that more as a resource, because like, just like money, time is a resource, but time is very finite, right? And you can stay accountable to, hey, if you have a calendar, right? Maybe like some people love to work off their calendar and they'll block out time in the day, and then that time blocking in the calendar holds you accountable. But that doesn't work for everybody. But that is a way that you could use time as a way to like hold yourself accountable. Like, but what you could take it a step further, and now like what I do is I met with my friend Gino like once a week, and we'll like plan our week, and we'll be like, hey, we're gonna accomplish these goals, and on this day, from this time to this time, I'm gonna work on this important, goal. So you could tell people when you're gonna do things. That could also add to that accountability.
Thank you. Thank you.
We share.
The slides will be shared and the videos will be shared as well. Yeah? All right, great. Is there anyone with a last question? And of course, Dev is here for this week. We have here Emmanuel.
So, with your experience with the people that you meet, what is the main reason of people not being accountable on their goals? Because like everybody are so excited about their goals,
Yeah.
but then they're not accountable about them. What do you think is the main reasons for
I think
that?
I probably should have addressed it. Like a lot of what we do is we set these really ambitious goals, or these like very ideal goals, like the one I said earlier, which is like I want to get into the best shape of my life. Like, but what does that mean, right? And a lot of times, like we'll be like, hey, I want to start a business, right? And it'll be like, great goal, but that's a vague, you know, like you've probably heard that too. Like, how many people have heard like from their friend, like, hey, I wanted to start a business, but what does that mean? Like, what is the niche? Like, when do you want to be profitable? Like actually like grounding that goal in reality. And that's like going through the framework of, okay, like by when do you want to start the business? Like, what does it look like? Is it achievable? Do you have the experience? And right, really diving into that goal. And that's the biggest mistake we see with our clients. Like they'll set these aspirational goals that are like, I was like, where did you pull that number out of? And it's like, it's not based on what they've done in the past. It's not based on maybe getting an expert opinion. It's just like, hey, I just want to make 300,000 this year. But there's no like history actually showing, you know. So the biggest thing is like really grounding your goals in reality, really defining your goals, and then having those like those 4 steps of execution. Like, hey, can I see progress? Am I taking action to hit that goal? Do I have people holding me accountable to those goals? And I'm not just making up a random number, you know? So, awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Can I get a big applause for that? Thank you Dev, so much. All right, guys, and from productivity, we're going to the next topic, and it's about how to hack into the mindset and the mentality of wealth. We have an external guest speaker, and that's Sulaira. Can I invite you to